Start your engines as we bring you the hottest stories and the #1 music hits. You're tuned in to DragFM.
It's a great day to be checked into your favorite literature radio because reading is what?
Reading is fundamental.
Mabuhay, Philippines! Welcome to DragFM, your #1 music hit station. I am VJY.
And I am VJ Free, fly from Manila, bringing you the latest writings and the hottest music all over the metro.
Calling all colors of the rainbow from GELITPH.
Let's vibe and kill this lit. This is Blackpink with Kill This Love, and you're tuned in to DragFM Radio.
To start off our day, I actually read the entry of our chosen sender for today's
Kwento Yarn!
You see, the sender got to meet her high school friends yesterday night to catch up over dinner. Then, she mentioned that she has this very feminine gay friend who has always been the life of the party. He's always laughing and making jokes, so there's really no dull moment when we're with him. Actually, she recalled this one time when she was really stressed in her last year of high school, so she decided to shut out all of her friends that year. Then she said that this gay friend was actually the first one to notice that she did not interact with her friends as much. So, after approaching her and talking to her, she noticed that he always made an extra effort to make her laugh.
Oh, so he's really a good friend, just on top of the fact that he's very outgoing.
Right? It was said in Sender's letter that he's always the life of the party, but he never really opened up about his personal problems, which made her a little bit sad. However, he finally had the courage to talk about his struggles when they had dinner. By the way, a trigger warning for our listeners. The next part of her story will make mention of abuse. If you're not comfortable with that, you can mute us for a while. So to continue, she discovered that he was actually physically and verbally abused by his parents when he came out in 8th grade. His story made me cry a little bit, to be honest. It was so heartbreaking. Not only this, but she said that he also mentioned how he was severely bullied in grade school, with his bullies singing really homophobic songs whenever he'd pass by.
So, to our sender's friend and all of our queer friends listening to us today, sending tight hugs, and this first song is for you. And that is Serena by Glock 9 and Evidencel.
Serena is such a good song. I remember always singing it in grade school, even memorizing the rap parts of Glock 9.
Songs by Glock 9 have always had a social impact. Being the poet that he is, he interprets what he observes in the world around him into songs. One such composition is Serena. The song discusses the hardships of the third sex in a culture where convention has a strong hold. Their parents tease, mock, and occasionally even physically harm them. This is especially seen in the lyric, upang matakpan ang mga pasta sa mukha na galing sa aking ama na tila di natutuwa. Kapag ako'y sisilayan, laging nalalatayan, sa paglipas ng panahon ay di ko na namamalayan. As well as in the lyric, kahit kinalyo na sa tapang, kahit ganun na lamang, akong paluin ang tubo kahit kinakalawang.
Ooh, you're right. I think this abuse is also described in the chorus. Drum na may tubig ang sinisisid. Naglalakihang mga braso ang sakay dumidikit. Drum na may tubig ang sinisisid sa patagalan ng paghinga, sa akin kayo ay bibilib. This explains how the speaker in the song is being drowned in an attempt to convert him.
This song is also really brilliant due to the fact that it made use of numerous analogies and metaphors. For instance, all throughout the song, the speaker explains how they are a mermaid, which can be analogous to femininity, beauty, and or grace. Another analogy is seen in the lyric, ang puso kong mapagmahal, parang pilikmatang kulot. Since another term for heterosexual is straight, the speaker's analogy between his lover cart and curled lashes may be a nod to the fact that he is not straight.
Considering that Glock 9 is straight, writing an unproblematic song promoting respect among gay people is really admiring, don't you think?
It really is. However, I still think that Sirena is not enough representation for the queer community, especially since Glock 9 is straight. Therefore, even though Sirena is a good song, it still contains some misconceptions. For instance, I think Glock 9 confused gay with trans. Throughout the whole song, the persona was described as being feminine. They dress like a woman and act like a woman. There was even a line that states, hanggang sa naging binata na ako, teka muna mali, dalaga na pala to. This means that the persona identifies as a woman. This fits more to the description of being transgender than simply just being gay. However, in the song, it was stated that the persona was gay.
Oh, you're right. I think this is one of the main reasons why representation in the industry is important for the members of the LGBTQ plus community. I believe that these people deserve to see queer artists rise to fame and shed a light on their experiences, and of course, their relationships in an accurate and unproblematic manner.
Tama! Luckily, Philippine society has become more accepting and thus, we can see so many local queer artists rising in the music industry at present. So, with this being said, here is Jack Quintana's Bahaghari.
Ano man ang kulay ng pag-ibig mo, lumabas sa dilim, huwag nang magtago.
And that is Bahaghari by Jack Quintana.
Wow, that is such a good song.
Yep, comparing it to Serena, Bahaghari had such a lighter tone. Bahaghari basically reminds all of us that love is love, and everyone deserves to love and be loved, no matter what their sexual orientation and gender identity is. It also expresses how beautiful love is, especially among queer people. Also, Bahaghari and Jack Quintana focused more on respecting people's sexual orientation, whereas Serena focused on one's gender identity and expression. Despite this, they still had pretty much the same message.
I also like how the song is very creative as it made use of many poetic devices.
I personally loved how she described the past, which I assume is a past full of hate and homophobia, as a shadow that must be left behind. Shadows are really dark and is usually perceived as a threatening influence. So, leaving it behind must feel really good. Just how ending hate and homophobia can bring nothing but happiness to the queer community.
For me naman, I really like the line, ano man ang kulay ng pag-ibig mo, lumalabas sa dilim, wag nang magtago. The way she used the word kulay to symbolize sexuality is very creative, considering that every sexuality has its own flag with distinct colors. I also liked how she used the word bahaghari to refer to queer love all throughout the song.
Oh, I remember the line, ano man ang muka, pagkatapos ng ulan ay sisikat ang araw. Dala nito'y bahaghari, akin ang tanaw. I loved how she used this to tell that even though queer acceptance still has a long way to go here in the country, there will be a day where the community will be free.
Bahaghari is truly wonderful. The first time I watched the Bahaghari music video, which featured the 2018 Pride March, I found it so beautiful that I shed a little tear. I can only imagine how queer people, especially the young ones, felt about this. I know how much representation makes us feel understood and appreciated.
I completely agree. So to everyone who's listening to us right now, we actually have a little surprise for you.
We have invited two special guests to give us more insights about queer identity, not only in music, but also in literature.
With this, let us welcome Miss Yla VALLESPIN and Miss Tatiana NAñASCA.
I think it is about time to be open to these relevant topics, as the queer community is a group of misunderstood individuals who are victims of discrimination, violence, abuse, marginalization, and exclusion from society.
There's actually a piece of literature which similarly tells about a story of a gay individual whom, against his will, converted back to being a male just to be accepted by his father. It's called The Conversion by J.Neil Garcia, a renowned author of numerous poetry collections and works in literary and cultural criticism.
Yes, tell us about it.
Okay, so in this poem, the father forces him to answer the question on whether he is a boy or a girl while torturing him. The brutal experiences of the person in this poem is similar to that of Glock 9 Sirena. For example, both authors use the drum as a way of punishment. In Glock 9 Sirena, drum na may tubig ang sinisisi, and Garcia's, it happened in a metal drum. They put me there, my family that loved me, goes to show the dark and brutal symbolism of the lives of gay men. But regardless of such brutality, the individual in the poem eventually converted back into being the man his father wanted him to be. But then, he reflected his father's actions towards his future wife by being physical whenever she needed some talking sense into. His actions seem like he's still trying to prove something to himself. However, there's still a reminder of his past. Since the conversion is a poem about going back to one's original gender, in the line 37, in the end, I had to say what they all wanted me to say, gave a sense of defeat or acceptance just to receive validation from other people. From this point of view, the story teaches us that one must really love oneself so that no one could inflict any pressure on you. There is so much emotion in the story that helps in delivering the author's message. Lines 68 to 69, I sometimes think the girl who drowned somewhere in a dream many dreams ago goes to show that even after the sexual conversion, the pain and trauma that was inflicted on him stayed until the present. Thus saying that one never truly forgets the challenges in life and that it takes so much courage to fight for what you believe in. Lastly, the opening line that goes, "It happened in a metal drum," and ends with, we die to rise to a better life, shows that there have been a lot of changes that happened in his life. And this shows the sequence of his life events and the changes that made him who he was in the present.
Now I see what the problem is. This is now not just a matter of LGBTQ issue, but an issue of how men still thinks that they are the superior gender who could just walk onto those below them. That is women and gay people. When we compare the conversion with Serena, I think that it is important to remember that we should be ready to accept ourselves regardless of what other people think. Change and acceptance always begins with yourself, because if you know who you are and what you want to be, then what is only needed is self-respect to be able to go out and reach the goals you want to achieve.
I do agree with that. I also want to share another piece that I've read before. It's called When a Father's Son Becomes His Daughter by Meredith Ramirez Talusan. In the first part of this narrative, a son who went into a gender transition was not fully accepted by her father until she stood up for herself and told him that he will be attending their family gathering in a full woman's outfit. Some lines from this story emphasizes the situation that the LGBTQIA+ community struggles with on a daily basis, particularly the line, "I couldn't believe it worked. I didn't realize how much of an act my indifference was until the wave of relief from his acceptance made it hard to speak. So I quickly said goodbye." Often happens within the queer community, where coming out is a great deal for queers. However, the acceptance of their orientation is more often than not deprived of them, making this accept to be as relatable as it is for the LGBTQIA+ community's struggle with coming out to their family, especially to their father. Another line from the text, I tried to argue less, but the fact that he kept calling me by my old name, my dead name as trans people call it name. This issue of dead naming trans people is still prevalent, may it be intentional or unintentional today. The feeling of being called by their dead name can vary among trans people, but it still impacts greatly their emotion and mental being. Lastly, the line, it was easy to avoid him when he was half a world away and his life no longer had anything to do with mine. We can correlate this line with how often queer people get kicked out or disowned by their parents because of their sexuality, and any disparity within their relationship is made easy to ignore because of the distance and the fact that their lives are not connected anymore. This story is also related to Jack Quintana's Bahag Hari, which positively speaks about acceptance and standing up for oneself.
A parent's approval would be the dream of every transgender person, and to be given such assurance probably meant the world to her.
Yes, but this is the good first part of the story though. Like Serena and the conversion, this story still showed the authoritarian nature of men, like in the line, "What you don't understand, Mark," he said, is that I am in charge here. The father who believes he is the superior calling his daughter her dead name Mark, to show his power over her new gender. His pride revealed, in which he believes that he is right all the time, or simply just passes to people his anger because of unresolved issues within himself. The author emphasized this attitude as it goes for the majority of men. It is actually a good read, and as it is a story of both individuals trapped in their own pride and unresolved issues, which help enlighten me of the personal underlying matters that contribute to the family problems faced by the LGBTQ community.
Being a transgender is still really an issue with many people. More often than not, their sexuality is the target of many songs when at the time the lyricists were composing it. Controversial songs like Awit May Lawit by Young Vito could offend many transgender individuals and may not take it as a joke.
Yes, songs like these are not taken lightly by the community, since they are still fighting for their whole acceptance in the society. With the pieces of literature that we tackled, we could see that they are treated as lesser beings, like they're strange abominations who are the ghosts of someone from their past. A dead daughter a father is trying to revive, or a little girl killed for trying to express herself despite being in the body of a boy.
This kind of saddening that the community includes a variety of people from different backgrounds, coming from different walks in life, and yet they all share similar stories of hurt, torture, and a bitter sadness that never really leaves them even after they fled from their past lives. The lives in which they were never really comfortable in their own skin or accepted by others and even by themselves.
For others who are not part of the community, they may be ignorant to the severity of the problems the queer community face. Many may not comprehend that members of the queer community are in danger every single day just for existing.
Yes, and I do really admire their bravery despite their preferred gender and sexual expression is ignored or is passed off as trivial. Being themselves at this time and age is one of the bravest things one can do. It is literary outputs like the 4 pieces we have discussed that reveals a tiny bit of what the queer community goes through on a daily basis. What about our guests? What can you say about the 4 literary pieces that were tackled today?
In my opinion, these literary pieces that we have discussed today are not only artistic by nature, but they are informative and they raise awareness over the social issues faced by the community. They tackle serious issues such as domestic violence and abuse inflicted by members of the queer community by their own family, their parents even.
And in addition to what Miss Tati said, these pieces of literature also carry an undertone of yearning and reflect their experiences of pain by the community that is commonly shown through their need to be accepted by others as they are to empower themselves in the gender they chose to pursue and live as. They show the climate of the country in terms of queer acceptance, which is we only tolerate them, but we never really do accept or even respect them. All in all, I think these literary pieces raise awareness about the experiences of the queer community, and these urge us to listen to their stories and let them be heard amidst a world that is determined to silence them.
Wow, you two raised some valid points. Up until now, there exists a misconception about literature and its relevance in society that stems from ignorance or perhaps a lack of critical thinking. Because anyone who thinks that literary and musical works such as Serena, Baghari, The Conversion, and When a Father's Son Becomes His Daughter are nothing but forms of entertainment and contribute no real significance to society are obviously wrong. These works mean something. They are war cries for the queer community. These empower them, uplift them, make them feel seen and heard.
More than that, these pieces pay tribute to their struggles and their courage, 2 sides of the same coin that not many people see. They advocate for social change, for respecting their dignity and rights as humans, for encouraging them to embrace their self-identities. Hence, it is important that we carry along their messages in the real world, to treat the queer community with respect and to honor their dignity as humans. These artists have a platform they use to influence and educate people, and they are doing it right by talking about important social issues that many can relate to, as they may have experienced the same unfortunate events mentioned. But through these works, they are comforted and relieved at the fact that they are not the only ones going through this, and that there are people out there that truly care for their well-being and wish to see them flourish in life.
Before we go, we just want you to know that reading is what?
Reading is fundamental.
This has been BJ Bree
And VJY.
The time has come for us to sashay away. But don't worry because we'll be back again on another day.
Start your engines as we bring you the hottest stories and the number one music hits. You're tuned in to Drag FM.